America's love affair with Canada is turning into a bitter divorce, and Donald Trump is holding the gavel. What started as trade disputes has become an economic war that's reshaping North America, and the consequences are already devastating American families and businesses. Since taking office for his second term, Trump has systematically destroyed one of America's most vital economic partnerships. Canada now faces tariffs that have jumped from 25% to 35%, with the higher tariff set to go into effect on August 1st, 2025. But this isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. This is about the unraveling of a relationship that kept both countries prosperous for decades. The scale of what Trump is destroying is staggering. Despite having only about 11% of the U.S. population, Canada was America's single largest importer of goods and second largest foreign investor. That symbiotic relationship, built over generations, is now being gutted by Trump's mean-spirited tariffs and inflammatory rhetoric. Canada is subject to Trump's 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, 25% tariffs on autos, and faces a 50% levy on copper shipments. These aren't just policy adjustments, they're economic weapons aimed at a neighbor and ally. Trump's justification for this economic assault keeps shifting like sand. He initially declared a national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to address the public health crisis caused by fentanyl flowing across the northern border, citing fentanyl as a reason for the tariffs. But the real motivations appear far more vindictive. Instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its own tariffs, Trump said in a letter posted on Truth Social, revealing that this is as much about ego as economics. The economic carnage is already visible and spreading. The $582.7 billion trade imbalance for the first half of the year was 38% higher than in 2024. Total construction spending has dropped 2.9% over the past year, and the factory jobs promised by Trump have so far resulted in job losses. These tariffs have already triggered Canadian layoffs, including at General Motors Canada, a subsidiary of American GM. Soon, they will jack up the prices of $3 billion worth of Canadian pharmaceuticals that Americans consume each year. From January to April 2025, the average applied U.S. tariff rate rose from 2.5% to an estimated 27%, the highest level since the Great Depression.
Yeah, well, Wolf, these are historic tariff levels not seen in nearly a century. We have not seen tariffs at these rates since the 1930s, and following that was the Great Depression. And all countries are being hit. The minimum is 10%, but then it's ratcheted up to 50% for some countries. This is President Trump's big bet. He believes that he's going to shrink trade deficits with other countries and believes that he's going to move manufacturing to the United States. Here are some of the countries that are impacted. Look at that high rate for Brazil. Switzerland, 39%. That's actually higher than the initial tariff of 31% that was announced on Liberation Day. You have India, 25%. Trump has threatened to move that up to 50%. Vietnam, Cambodia, other East Asian countries at 20%, 19%. And the European Union, a major trading partner, Wolf, sitting at 15%. They actually negotiated that tariff level as Trump was trying to.
After changes and negotiations, the rate was estimated at 18.6% as of August 2025. This isn't just trade policy, it's economic warfare that's hurting American consumers and businesses. But here's where Trump's plans started falling apart. Enter Mark Carney, and he's nothing like the pushover Trump expected. Mark Carney has been elected as the new head of the governing Liberal Party, replacing Justin Trudeau, and has served as the 24th and current Prime Minister of Canada since 2025. This isn't some career politician Trump can intimidate. Carney served as the 8th governor of the Bank of Canada from 2008 to 2013, where he was responsible for Canadian monetary policy during the 2008 financial crisis. He navigated crises when he was the head of the Bank of Canada and when in 2013 he became the first non-citizen to run the Bank of England, since it was founded in 1694. Carney's response to Trump's economic bullying has been swift and strategic. New Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called the news disappointing and said Canadians will be our own best customer in response. But his real power move came in his victory speech, where he didn't just push back, he declared economic war. In his acceptance speech, Carney tackled the Trump tariff threats head-on. Donald Trump, as we know, has put unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living, he said. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed, and we won't. To rousing applause, Carney added, "We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake. In trade, as in hockey, Canada will win." The political transformation this has caused in Canada is remarkable. Trump's frequent attacks on Canada's sovereignty have infuriated Canadians and led to a surge in Canadian nationalism that has bolstered Liberal poll numbers. The governing Liberals had appeared poised for a historic election defeat this year until Trump declared a trade war. It was a stunning reversal of fortunes for Poilievre, who for more than a year rode high in the polls, at one point with his Conservatives up 27 points over the Liberals. Trump's aggression didn't just change Canadian politics, it completely flipped the script. Carney's electoral victory wasn't just a win, it was a landslide mandate for resistance. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney won a new term on Monday night, less than 2 months after he was first sworn into public office. The central banker turned centrist politician became Prime Minister in mid-March after winning the Liberal Party election by a landslide, winning nearly 86% of the vote. Carney won on the first ballot with over 85.9% of the vote, making him the leader of the Liberal Party. His margin of victory surpassed Justin Trudeau's 2013 margin, winning all 343 electoral districts. The economic expertise Carney brings to this fight is exactly what Trump didn't want to face. In 2010, Time magazine named him among the world's 25 most influential leaders. In 2011, Reader's Digest Canada named him the most trusted Canadian, and the editors of Euro Money magazine named him Central Bank Governor of the Year in 2012. During his tenure as Canada's central banker, he also held several high-profile international positions, including as chair of the Committee on the Global Financial System and head of the Financial Stability Board for the G20 group of the world's biggest economies. Meanwhile, Trump's tariff chaos is creating legal and economic disasters at home. The president's use of a 1977 law to declare an economic emergency to impose the tariffs is also under challenge. The impending ruling from last week's hearing before a U.S. appeals court could cause Trump to find other legal justifications if judges say he exceeded his authority. He also fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, whom he accused, without evidence, of manipulating the monthly jobs reports. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer slammed President Donald Trump for firing the commissioner, likening the move to that of a dictator. Trump this afternoon fired Dr. Erica McIntarfer, whom he accused, without evidence, of manipulating the monthly jobs reports for political purposes. The market reaction tells the real story of Trump's failures. U.S. stocks were battered by a sell-off today as Wall Street reckoned with President Donald Trump's tariff regime. Stock markets slid Friday, with all 3 major U.S. indexes closing down by more than 1.2%. Markets fell in most of Asia and Europe as well. What makes this even more devastating for Trump is the international isolation it's creating. Ursula von der Leyen, the European Union's top official, quickly praised Carney. "I look forward to working closely together, both bilaterally and within the G7, she wrote on X. We'll defend our shared democratic values, promote multilateralism, and champion free and fair trade. The world is rallying around Carney and Canada, leaving Trump increasingly isolated. And even his own former allies are speaking out.
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada because he's attacked his closest family member, and that's the way we look upon it. And when I talk to the governors and senators and Congress people, even Republicans totally disagree, but they're too scared to come out and say anything because the president will go after them, outside of a few senators. And I want to thank them for coming out and standing with not just American people, but their closest friends and allies, which is Canada. And again, we love the Americans. It's unfortunate President Trump decided to go down this road.
Even people who worked with Trump during his first term are skeptical that things will go smoothly for the economy, such as Paul Ryan, the former Republican House Speaker, who has emerged as a Trump critic. There's no sort of rationale for this other than the president wanting to raise tariffs based upon his whims, his opinions, Ryan told CNBC. I think choppy waters are ahead because I think they're going to have some legal challenges. Trump's promise that tariffs would bring manufacturing jobs back to America has proven to be a lie. The vast majority of economists and CEOs reject Trump's market mayhem and predict that his tariffs will have disastrous consequences on the U.S. economy. In April, dozens of top economists, including 2 Nobel laureates, signed a letter advising that his tariffs have no basis in economic reality and that his tariff policy is misguided, warning it could cause a self-inflicted recession. As Carney consolidates power and builds international support, Trump finds himself increasingly desperate and isolated. In his victory speech, Carney repeatedly took aim at Trump, saying at one point, "Trump is trying to break us so America can own us. That will never ever happen." Carney addressed Mr. Trump's threats to annex Canada, saying, "America is not Canada, and Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way. So the Americans, they should make no mistake. In trade, as in hockey, Canada will win," he added. The ultimate irony is that Trump's tariff war has achieved the opposite of everything he promised. Instead of making America stronger, it's made Canada more unified and determined. Instead of bringing back manufacturing jobs, it's destroying them. Instead of reducing the trade deficit, it's making it worse. And instead of intimidating Canada into submission, it's created a formidable opponent in Mark Carney who has the experience, expertise, and mandate to fight back.
Well, first of all, I start off every interview with saying how much we love Americans, how much we love the U.S. And as I've said on this show many times, that a tariff on Canada is a tax on the American people. And as you've seen, the study from Yale, it's going to cost Americans $2,400. Manufacturing employment in the U.S., there's over 37,000 people since April have lost their jobs. It's the lowest rate in 5 years, and it's just not working. Let's create the AmCan Fortress, 2 strongest countries in the world. Again, this is hurting the American people as the rest of the countries, including Canada, is diversifying our trade. We're seeing a 25% increase in trade with the European Union. The UK is up by 30%. So as we're diversifying and onshoring products, the American people are losing their...
What we're witnessing isn't just a trade dispute, it's the complete transformation of North American geopolitics. Trump's reckless tariff war has turned America's closest ally into an adversary, damaged the U.S. economy, and handed Canada a leader perfectly positioned to outmaneuver him. The man who promised to make America great again has instead made it isolated, economically weakened, and facing a newly empowered neighbor, led by one of the world's most respected economists. In trying to break Canada, Trump may have broken the economic partnership that made both countries prosperous, and Mark Carney is making sure Canada comes out stronger on the other side.